So I will now be demonstrating the application built for assignment 3. So when we start the application, we enter the main screen, which immediately shows us a table view populated with the information about the patients present in the database at the moment. So I can display the structure of the database in a diagram so we can understand what's going on. So this view queries the database for information about the patients, but it uses some operations to build the different fields in this table view. So the personnummer is extracted directly from the personnummer attribute in the patients table, but then the name is the result of a concatenation operation on the first name and last name attributes. So when we query the patients table, we use the concat operator in order to build this name attribute. The age is calculated from the birth date. So the birth date is stored in the database as a datetime attribute, and then on the code level we convert this to an age so that both the birth date can be stored permanently in the database and the age displayed is always up to date. Then the gender and the phone number are retrieved also directly from the respective attributes from the patients table, and then the address is also the result of a concatenation. But now we have to use attributes not only from the patients table, but the city is stored in the postal codes table. So this view is actually performing an SQL query with a join between the patients and the postal codes table in order to get the street address attribute, the postal code attribute, and then the city attribute matching that postal code. So this screen also displays how many records are being displayed, and we are displaying all the 400 patients which are currently present in the database. And we can perform two operations in this screen. We can filter the search, that is refining the search criteria in order to find a specific patient, and we can add new patients to the database. So let's start using the filter. I have configured the application so that it outputs to the console the string used when we filtered the database. So for example, if we want to find patients whose personnummer contains the number 44, we can write 44 here and apply the filter. And now the string that was sent to the database in order to retrieve these patients now uses the where operator to specify that we only want to list results where the personnummer attribute is like 44, so contains the string 44. And we can see that the 16 patients that are now being displayed all have 44 somewhere in their personnummer. If we want to refine this further and only display the female patients, we can add the filter. And because this criteria is being added to the 44, we use the AND operator in the search string. And if we want to add yet another criteria, for example, if we want the number 4 to be present in the phone number, for example, we add that, we apply the filter, and just like previously, this criteria will be added using the AND operator. And we can also remove filters that we had previously selected, and the string will be adjusted accordingly to the active filters. So if we clear the remaining filters, we see that the number of displayed patients is increasing until we have no filters left and we are displaying once again the entire collection of patients present in the database. So now if we want to add a new patient, we can hide this. If we want to add the new patient to the database, we can fill the desired information on the on these fields, and then we can build and insert a new patient. So if we try to insert an empty patient, we get a number of error messages. And the application uses both input validation at the code level, but also exception handling at the database level in order to get these error messages. So some are collected directly from input validation. For example, if we add a person number which is not a valid string, this error message, I can clear it. So this error message is being generated from the code, not from the database, because this detects that it is an invalid string. But even if we insert a valid person number, we cannot create a patient object because all these fields are empty and all the attributes in the patients table have a not null constraint. So we get an SQL exception because we are violating the not null constraint, and this object cannot be added to the database. But so if we add a valid patient, let's choose a very famous patient. We can pick the date of birth from this date picker. Let's be accurate. 5th of February. We have to insert a valid Swedish postal code. And now we have successfully created a patient that was added to the database and all the fields were removed. So now if I want to check if the patient is in the database, I can simply do a search for patients whose name contains Ronaldo, and now we can see that Cristiano Ronaldo is present in the database. So the whole purpose of displaying a list of patients is then to be able to enter the patient and see the blood tests. That's the whole idea. So if I select this patient, I can simply double click it, and then we enter the view for the individual patient. And now, not only does this display, again, some basic information about the patient, so that we remember which patient we have selected, but then this displays a list of every date that the patient has taken a blood test in. And we do this by querying the takes measurement table, where the person number is equal to the patient we have selected, and we perform a query using the distinct operator. So we are only interested in populating this list with the date and the name of the laboratory. So we use the distinct in order to ask for all the distinct dates in which this patient has taken any measurements. And then we use all the results to populate this list. And now when we click an item on this list, then we perform another query. We ask the database, okay, for this patient on this date for this laboratory, then show me all the measured values. And now we are performing a query using a join between the takes measurement table and the measurements table in order to extract information about the measurement itself. So we don't want only to see the value of the measurement obtained on that day for this patient. We want also to display the name of the measurement, so which test is it, the units, the minimal normal value and the maximal normal value. And we concatenate all this information into this string in order to display it on this list. Additionally, we get a warning. So if the value obtained on that day is higher than the maximal normal value, we get a high message. But on another measurement, if we get a measurement which is lower than the minimal normal value, we get a low warning. And so by clicking on this list, we are querying the database in order to display the blood tests for this patient on this date on this laboratory. And by clicking here, we can always go back to the list and select another patient and see their blood tests. So that's it. Thank you very much.